I remember when I first felt invisible. I was Clara Johnson, 32 years old and living in the foggy heart of San Francisco, a city pulsing with life while I felt like a mere spectator. My family called me the caretaker, but it felt more like a title forged out of obligation than affection. I became the one they turned to when the ground shifted beneath their feet, an unfaltering constant. But every time I gave myself to them, I felt the pieces of me slipping away into the background. Thanksgiving was always a pivotal moment in my year. The warmth and chaos of it all felt almost comforting. My siblings would gather in our childhood home, laughter bouncing off the walls, the smell of turkey and gravy wafting through the air, mingling with the memories of past holidays. I often found myself sitting on the edge of the room, nursing a cup of lukewarm coffee. My favorite pumpkin pie, the one I would bake with Mom, had always felt like a bittersweet reminder of what could have been. I gave up my birthdays for years to pull double shifts at the diner just so Mom could keep the lights on. I was proud of my sacrifices, but they felt increasingly pointless. As I watched my siblings swap tailies and guffaw, I saw their easy camaraderie only serve as a mirror reflecting my loneliness. "Clara, why don't you tell us that hilarious story about the time you—" my brother Josh started, a smirk plastered across his face as others laughed. The laughter felt like a dagger, twisting with each chuckle that echoed in my ears. Josh had always been the golden boy, the one who coasted through life on charisma and charm while I quietly twirled away in the background. As I sat there, prideful yet pained, I realized I was but a shadow in their bright lives, always watching from the sidelines. My sister Jessica chimed in, her bright tone bestowing praise upon him, while I simply sat there, my heart heavy with a past of culinary sacrifices. "Clara could help defer tomorrow's dinner costs, right?" She tossed the suggestion my way so casually, as if it were my birthright to shoulder that burden alone once again. My gut twisted painfully. It was more about proving their consistency than actually needing me, and I bit my tongue until I tasted blood to prevent myself from voicing what I truly felt. How did I become the family's emotional punching bag, the one who could disappear for 1,000 years, and nobody would think to look for me? Later, I went to the kitchen where the scent of gravy clung to the air. It filled my lungs, and for a moment the nostalgia enveloped me completely. But the bitterness rushed in, heavier than any pot I could lift. The smell of home had become suffocating under the weight of what I carried, the realization that I had poured my life into this family. Yet, here I was, always taking a step back as they effortlessly danced on my sacrifices. I started plotting. I would forge my own path, and it wouldn't even wield the blade of violence. No, my revenge would be so much sweeter, so much more profound. With every drop of my family's neglect, I distilled my own strength. It was the night of their charity gala when my moment arrived. I was in the bustling venue, a place that I now owned, the very same I had begged them to recognize me in years ago, the same venue they had turned their backs on. I hadn't just claimed the space, I had transformed it into my own reality, my own new skin. I greeted each person with calm confidence, grateful for the friends I had found who genuinely supported me. They arrived, my family, each one caught up in the glittering facade of the event, oblivious to the power shift taking place beneath their feet. As they walked through the door, I stood proudly at the entrance, my heart racing, but with purpose. I could see their eyes widen in disbelief as I stepped forward, the owner of the venue now standing tall. "Welcome," I said, my voice smooth as silk but boiling inside. "Glad you could join us tonight. I hope you enjoy the fruits of our shared effort." I raised my glass to them, every eye now focused on me. To the woman who once called me a burden, and to my brother who labeled me jealous, cheers, I declared. The trembling silence that followed felt electric, vibrant against the backdrop of warmth shifting into chill. They blinked, processing my existence, and pause filling the room. Some guests lingered in uncertainty, looking between me and my family, questions clouding their eyes. "I don't quite remember you taking the lead on this," Jessica whispered, voice tight, eyes narrowing as she glanced around. I shrugged, an irony twinkling in my gaze. "Sometimes the greatest feats go unnoticed," I replied, my lips curling into a small smirk. "But tonight, I'm the main act." Josh's grin faltered, his smugness unraveling as he struggled to compose himself. The guests began murmuring, the enchanted atmosphere clouded with confusion. The more they spoke, the more vibrant I felt, reclaiming all the laughter and warmth I had offered them for so long. "Can you believe it? Clara, all grown up and turning the tables," one guest remarked, sending an electric jolt of vindication to my veins. I could feel the collective realization wash over the room like a wave. I was no longer merely the helper, the one who sacrificed in silence. In this moment, I stood as the architect of my destiny. As the evening wore on, I watched them mingle, faces painted with discreet embarrassment, the laughter now muted. They couldn't ignore the reality I had imposed. I was not an afterthought in my own story any longer. I had found my voice, a clarity dawning on me like sunlight piercing through the fog. Their dismissive attitudes cut deeper now, revealing their true colors. Eventually, they left, and none of them could meet my gaze. As the space emptied, a lingering grin crept onto my lips. I sipped my drink, allowing the chilled essence to quell the fire inside. I savored that small victory, a quiet triumph that crackled through me like electricity. The toasts exchanged in the silence of my heart meant something different now. Some toasts are swallowed with regret, I mused in hushed tones to the shadows around me. The weight of their previous dismissals no longer crushed me, but rather sparked the heart of my independence. I had carved my identity, reclaimed my lost worth. The family that had once diminished me no longer held power. I had become their darkness, shining too brightly for them to eclipse, and I whispered into the quiet night. They finally saw me, and I never had to scream.